AEW Dynamite, in the midst of a very interesting run of shows, aired last night on TBS as we are recording. And they had a good house for them. I think it was they announced that over 4,000 tickets distributed, but there were some reports that may have been a little bit less. But
I think some of the people were balling those tickets up and throwing them in the ring at the end of the show.
Apparently free tickets were offered to employees of local sporting teams as well. But Jim, AEW Dynamite in Buffalo, New York.
Also given out at daycare centers and every Speedway gas station. You said a run of very interesting shows, and we'll talk about one of these matches in excruciating detail later on, but especially just as a whole, what the fuck is going on? Is it possible for a television show to have a nervous breakdown? It looks like that's what's happening. They've lost complete control of what the fuck is even going on this thing, haven't they?
I mean, yes, they've lost sight of what's good and what's not completely. You could argue when they've had it and who had what, but it appears to be company-wide right now. There are people who say, oh, they don't have any stories, All their stories just aren't working and aren't good, and the reactions are bad, and the booking is bad, and the formatting sucks. And just nothing, nobody you like is doing anything you want them to do.
There you go. That's a good one. They were in Buffalo, which is apparently the hometown of Danny Garcia, and they lead, no introduction, no open, straight into MJF's entrance because they think, well, let's desperately cling on to the big bangers with another big banger. And as soon as MJF gets in the ring and says, Buffalo, New York, boom, he's interrupted by Danny Garcia's music. And yes, I know Danny Garcia. I know because they told me Danny Garcia is from Buffalo, New York. He's a hometown guy.
Daniel Garcia, just to make sure people know it's not the production partner, ex-wife of The Rock.
Well, MJF was calling him Danny.
Well, if MJF does it, I guess you could do it.
I think he's got a better chance of marrying The Rock than he does of fucking drawing money as a main eventer. So let's keep our options open.
Well, she's jacked, but anyway.
Well, I know it looks like she could kick the fucking shit out of the other Danny Garcia. But they should have let MJF hook them by speaking to them first, because now we already don't care. Because anybody from Buffalo, or anybody not from Buffalo, don't give a fuck that he's a hometown guy in Buffalo. And most of the people in Buffalo don't even know who the fuck he is. We got 4,000 people or less in this building that know who, but let MJF talk a little bit and hook them. And then he comes out, but then they have a love fest for a while where Garcia thanks MJF for saving him last week, and he's going to say nice things about MJF, and they're both standing there in leather jackets. They look like the board of directors of an S&M club. And Garcia does a decent promo, but it took a while. But it was talking about, I say a decent promo because he was well-spoken, but he talked about how MJF motivated him to not be a pillar, but a backbone, a workhorse, and a foundation. When did MJF, the epitome of, I only wrestle when I make a lot of money and fucking the rest of these assholes wrestle every week? And that was his gimmick. I'm not saying that was his attitude behind the scenes. He inspired this guy to become a workhorse. And the MJF responded with energy. And he said, he's got the energy, but he's got to say this shit that's not MJF. He said, thank you back. And he shook Garcia's hand, and he did a promo trying to get this guy over that he's not. He's not that over, and he's not going to get that over. It devalues MJF's word to have to say these ridiculously over-the-top good things about fucking Daniel Garcia. Including, he said, nobody in the back deserves my spot, but one guy is getting closer. And he didn't say, Danny, you remind me of myself. God damn it, what a fucking moot-faced fucking guy with very little personality and a standard fucking body. What?
You know, if you squinted, because they were both wearing their black leather outfits, I don't know why they both were in the same kind of outfit out there. I don't know.
Yes.
But if you squinted, it looked like Andrew Dice Clay and George Michael were having a big meeting in 1988.
Well, which one was going to be the first one to go to the public restroom?
George Michael, historically and chronologically, George Michael would be the answer.
Well, then hopefully MJF then becomes Dice. But this took forever. And as I said, I think MJF is blowing his credibility by putting this obvious mid-card kid at this point. Maybe he'll get great, whatever. But he's putting him over like he's Steve Austin. It was too overboard. Unless it's revealed that it's to butter him up so he can stab him in the back or fuck him in the ass or become a heel again. And then MJF offered Garcia the match with him at Wembley Stadium out of nowhere. I think I ought to wrestle you at the stadium. And people are kind of like, what? Huh?
For the people who think it's nuts, I'm wrestling Hechachero on pay-per-view. Watch this.
Yes. This is even wackier. But as soon as he says that, they play Ostrich's music. Here comes Willie Boy. And now it's three baby faces in the ring, challenging each other to this and that. And then Will turns his back on MJF and talks to Garcia and said, I heard you want a shot at the Intercontinental title, bruv. And then he puts Garcia over, and it's like this guy paid these people to come out and do cameos for him, putting him over, right? And all elite Scooby-Doo. But he put Garcia over and he told Garcia, you can have a title shot next week on TV for the Intercontinental title. But even better, bruv, how about I put the world title on the line next week as well? Now, I don't know whether I don't know how what he was supposed to say.
No, he meant what he said. The world, if he wins the world title at the pay-per-view, it'll be on the line.
No, but he didn't say if he wins it. That's the thing. He said, how about if I put the world title? The announcers had to come back afterwards and go, well, now that's potentially if he wins it. But he offered to put a title up next week on TV that he doesn't win until Sunday. If you took him at the words that were coming out of his mouth.
I like this as a new gimmick. He should just offer up all sorts of things he can't deliver.
And the fans didn't really react because they're like, what the fuck? He doesn't have that title. And then Will and Garcia shake hands, and Will walks out without speaking to MJF, and MJF looks unhappy. And he just, the announcers are using the word, he was upstaged by all this. He's not used to that. And MJF just curtly and abruptly tells old Danny, you concentrate on your title match next week. That's the most important thing. And he leaves. And then we go to the back, and here's another babyface to be heard from. Swerve Strickland, the world champion, who with Nana is watching the monitor. And he cuts promo on Ostrich for putting up a title that he hadn't won yet. And he's a baby face. These are four baby faces. And MJF still may be the most popular guy. If not, it's Ostrich. Swerve was short time ago. And I don't think Garcia, but
when's that War Games match? It's like an afterthought. I forgot all about it. As you're talking about, I'm like, man, all the babyfaces are feuding with each other because all the heels are feuding with luchadors. And I was like, well, no, not all the heels. The Elite, they're not feuding with luchadors.
Well, but no, that's on free TV next month, isn't it?
It is, yeah, I guess so.
Yes. That'll be a completely different thing. But anyway, so all these baby faces are fighting over shit, and The two guys that are wrestling for the world title are going to be a tag team tonight on the show against two job guys. All righty. Any final? Yes.
A couple final things. One, it had moments that were okay. But AEW over the last few years has spent a lot of time trying to elevate Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia.
A lot of time.
And I personally think Garcia is a lot further along than Wheeler Yuta.
Oh, well, God, yes. I mean, Mother Nature beat him all to that. It looks like a grown fucking adult.
You see, you had to say something and now you got me.
Well, I'm just telling you.
But Garcia's, again, they're spending a lot of TV time to get this guy over. MJF, was doing stuff with Cody. Jericho latched onto him forever. The CM Punk stuff's the best stuff in AEW history. Little things here and there. Darby, Pillman Jr. Ever since that moment where they started putting it out there, before it even happened, that he should be a babyface, he needs to be a babyface, it's like he's constantly doing stuff on TV. You're like, why? Just why? Who didn't say no? Who didn't say, let's rethink this? It's just constantly mixing with the wrong people and using MJF's credibility and capital to try to get them over, and then it doesn't happen because the booking falls apart. Look at Jay White, case in point. Jay White pinned MJF.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. That's right.
Forgot about it because it didn't do anything for anyone except hurt MJF a little bit more, another chink in the armor. He's going for a new thing right now. You got to think this is the setup a heel turn, because otherwise,
one would hope.
What the hell would this be? But that means we have to wait till Wembley maybe for the heel turn. But we'll see what happens.
Well, no, they can't have MJF and Garcia at Wembley.
No, it has to be MJF and Ospreay.
Yes, so I think he has to pretty much fuck Garcia next week.
But there's the problem. There's trying to make someone, and there's trying to make the wrong person. And I'm not a Daniel Garcia. I hate the dance. I think it's stupid, and it looks like he toned it down a little bit. Now he just teases lifting the arms up.
He just didn't want to do it in front of his mother.
But the personality, the charisma, the promo, and then just what he looks like in the ring versus a lot of the other wrestlers. I'm not saying it can't happen in the future, but I'm saying now's not the time. And you need to spend every second of TV time you can taking advantage of what's working and finding the right guys to elevate. And they spent, 15 minutes here with the two top stars in the company right now. The biggest star in the company, MJF, and the emerging talent who has not really fucked up yet. And the booking's kind of not screwed him up too much yet, Will Ospreay. You have them trying to get him over. It seems like if you really wanted to try to justify doing it, you could, but it's poorly thought out and it shouldn't be done. Not now. That's what.
And possibly not ever. And then, speaking of things that should never, ever be done again, the 6-man tag team match. And Brian.
Oh, thank God you watched this.
This was, I wasn't gonna, but I ended up being captivated by the introduction of it. And there you have it. And I've gone back and watched it. We may go back here and watch it again in a minute. Because I will set it up for the people who may not have seen this. I never do this, but I'm going to endorse you. Get a tape, get a DVD, get a stream. If you've got it on your DVR, watch the AEW program. And this is, again, June 26th out of Buffalo. The BBC, Moxley and Claudio and Wheeler Useless against their opponents. Because this was the example of the biggest bunch of amateur hour bullshit that I have ever seen on a big budget television program. I've seen worse shit, but it's been in fucking rec centers and high school gyms and on videotape from cow pastures. But this was the biggest conglomeration of reasons why that they are a floundering fucking ship that I've ever seen. From booking to announcing to actual work in the ring, this was the epitome of dreck on all parts. Nothing about this was any good. It was humorous in its goddamn badness. And I don't know what they're looking at that some more than one person in this match was not reprimanded, if not taken off the booking sheets and their usefulness rethought. But I get just they have no standards in anything works here. This was embarrassing to watch if you were a halfway dedicated wrestling fan. What were your thoughts before we talk about this thing? Just in overall, in
it was a
what are they looking at?
It was a weird night because I was planning on watching Dynamite this morning because the Mets versus Yankees, which is a big game, the Subway Series was last night, and the Mets are playing great. There was a big rain delay. We had a big storm in this area, and I got to watch a lot of Dynamite because of the rain delay. I didn't see the first few moments of the walk to the ring, so I only saw Moxley and Claudio. It was a big surprise to me when Yuta jumped the rail, too. I was like, who's that little guy? And it was Yuta. And then we have had a version of La Facción Ignoborales or whatever the fuck it is on this show in the past, right? Like Preston Vance and all that. That was part of that, I think.
Yes.
This was
but
that.
they got a branch office opened up in Japan now.
Yeah, and I'll just say this. I was in the middle of watching this match, and it was Wheeler Yuta in the ring specifically, working with the other guys. And I said to myself, I'm going to email Jim that he can't skip this match. He needs to watch it. Like, this match deserves a breakdown. And the gods were listening. Independent of me doing that, you had the same realization.
Well, what drew me to it was because again, with the crew had just left and the TV was on and it was recording, I was going to do the same thing, which I did watch it in its entirety this morning. But I heard, as we were trying to get something to eat, Sockface bringing the opposing team of the BBC to the ring with a rundown of who they are and everything they've ever done, and a court stenographer couldn't have kept up with it, and nobody not only could pronounce, but gives a shit to try to pronounce any of the fucking words that came out of his fucking sock. The Los Fuckers and Goobers of Japan branch division of Los Fuckers and Goobers of Mexico. I couldn't understand their fucking Shingo Takagi. His name was on the screen. So I got that when Smiley Roberts introduced him. I couldn't tell what the other two fucking names were. I couldn't tell it apart from all the other words that I've never heard before. When Sockface said it, and I'm looking at two Japanese guys that look like henchmen in a Raymond Chow production, and a masked guy that's coming to the ring holding another mask in his hand that doesn't look like he's 5 feet tall. 3 more inches, he's a mini. And and this is a match that's going to go 15 fucking minutes. And remember, I've said before that whenever anybody either wrestles against or even teams with Mox, whenever Moxley is in a match, even talent looks worse. I think that they just forget how to work. It falls apart. I think this is the worst example of that I've ever seen. I was gobsmacked.
At least they gave it length to really flesh out. Because I had that moment, the epiphany early in the match, like, I have to see where this is going to go. And then everyone's work, even Claudio. I know you like the European uppercuts, but...
No, that's the thing. Even Claudio, who in the past I have seen, witnessed with my own eyes, have wonderful matches. This was the fakest looking, most embarrassing bullshit from everybody that I've ever seen. That's why I'm saying it's catching. When Moxley's involved, everybody sucks. I don't know how otherwise to explain it.
I completely agree.
So, what we are going to do is we're going to change things up a little bit. We're going to try this and see if this tickles anybody's taint, Brian, because it's almost impossible to describe to people who didn't see this what went on, and it was impossible to write down notes that quickly on what all was fucking up. And it just has to be seen to be believed. So what we are going to do is we are going to do a watch along of this fucking match that they presented on national television that was an embarrassment to the wrestling business. And if you all out there in podcast land or YouTube land or internet land would like to watch along, then I think that's the only way that this match would ever be remotely in any way entertaining.
Well, I think it's a good idea. Like I said before, while I was watching this match, the BCC versus the LIJ, while I was watching this match and thinking of all the other letters I could incorporate into a match, I did say to myself, I would love to hear Jim do commentary because it was such a mess. And sometimes you skip past that stuff. Sometimes you go, and it was garbage and I fast. But this one was so bad, I almost wanted you to break it down. And
I would have normally skipped this, but luckily I somehow got sucked into this vortex. But anyway, explain to the people the technical part, since this is your program, of how we're going to do this thing there where they can watch this on the tape and listen to us on the Raycons or whatever.
Right. Well, here's what we're going to do. We have access to AEW Dynamite from last night. Of course, last night as we are recording was June 26, 2024. And it's a 6-man match. The BCC versus the LIJ. And we're going to start your review of this, Jim, when the bell actually rings. So there isn't a jump start. The two teams are in their two corners.
Right. And remember, folks, again, you have to listen to what Sockface says when the Japanese version of the Los Fuckers and Goobers are on their way to the ring, because this is the biggest line of gibberish, made-up words, and unintelligible caca that I've ever heard in my life while he's trying to get these fucking guys over.
Well, we won't be playing that audio here because...
No, because you got to listen to that. Then you're going to listen to us while you watch the visual part of the shitty stuff.
Plus, we have a no Excalibur rule. That guy completely sucks. But, Jim, let's now go to this video, or at least let's watch this video. Everyone can watch along. BCC versus LIJ.
Starting when the bell rings.
We're going to start when the bell rings. Countdown from 5, and then I'll actually say press play now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play now.
Boom, and there's the bell. And now watch these. Watch this. I got to get this fucking volume out of my ear. There we go. It's like Claudio is afraid he's going to hurt this guy. Because, and I would be too, because is this another one of these 50-year-old broken down ex-Japanese? Look at the headlock. He's like, ooh, I don't want to hurt your neck. Watch when he shoots Claudio off. His head just pops out of the thing before he even... Now watch the forearms. They're hitting air. They are not touching each other. Look. It's not even close. They're hitting air in front of each other.
Takagi's 41 years old.
Oh, good Lord. And the second European uppercut actually made some noise. But again, can Takagi, is he able to bend over? Or is that kind of, gone past him? Because look, he's standing straight up on a hip toss. But why do they do the forearm shit? That's the worst I've ever seen, but we'll see many more examples in this match, and it all sucks. And now who we got? Useless and... Who's this? Takahashi?
I will get his name for you in a moment, but
they're doing they're doing square dancing into a fucking kung fu movie at 100 miles an hour. And again, they're running 100 miles an hour, but when they hit each other, they're barely touching. And then now watch, they will not know which way to shoot Wheeler off here. Look, they can't figure out which way to back, front. Oh, here we go.
And he just turns around.
Yeah, he just turned around for him so they could figure it out.
You know, you say people are small. He really is. He has no frame for a wrestler when you watch him.
No, watch this. Watch this. Wait a minute. The Mexican guy is going to do a clothesline and fall out of the ring and bust his ass on the floor. Boom, and there he goes. Right there. Oh, shit. Did anybody see me fall down? No, I'll just climb back in real quick. I'll come off the top rope. Boom, and well, what the fuck? Can they slow down?
Just roll.
So that anybody could goddamn recognize what's going on here?
That's Titan, by the way. Titan.
Look. He dove out of the ring on the fucking guy, and look at Yuta took his own bump. He threw him back in so fast that the Japanese referee is from New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's apparently almost as tall as the top rope. And it's just a video game bunch of bullshit with these guys at 100 miles an hour and nobody can process.
And you brought up that people should hear the commentary. Danielson's on commentary with all the charisma of Bruno Sammartino in the late 80s on commentary.
Oh, boy. And Bruno was a living legend, but not as a broadcaster. Now, look at this fucking guy. Pip, 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 cheerio. Claudio just said, fuck it, I'll just stagger. And then he fucking skins the cat onto the top rope. Claudio turns, but he ain't got his balance yet, so Claudio has to stagger. Now he jumps, but thankfully, he only weighs 116 pounds, so Claudio caught him. And by the way, who are the baby faces and who are the heels? The hometown BBC, the people cheer them, or are they just cheering the Trogs? Are they cheering Wild Thing? Or are they cheering the BBC? Because they're the baby faces. These other guys are supposed to be the heels. But now they're going to get fucking heat on the goddamn heels. And then the fucking heels are going to have a comeback here. And I don't know what they're doing. By the way, this is the commercial break for folks in the United States. So immediately Moxley, it's picture in picture, so I've seen it. But Moxley takes the guy out and puts him in a chair and just starts punching him. And now everybody's just walking around outside the ring, not doing any goddamn thing. What's
the referee doing? Why isn't he counting? Considering what the finish is, why is any of this happening?
Because they're in the commercial break. So for these 4,000 people in this building where they can't usually sell that many tickets, they're just jacking off. And Moxley's trying to take the fucking Mexican guy's mask off or whatever. But again, this is all in the commercial break in the States. And they're just killing time, beating up this child-size Mexican mini. And in a minute, when they come back, you'll see that immediately they'll kick up a notch with their pace. And I understand grabbing a hold during a commercial break, but just wandering around outside for no reason and just jacking off when they're in the state they're in with selling tickets to these live people. This is just brutal. Now they're doing old fucking wishbone spots and a chin lock. It goes from 100 miles an hour to fuck, let's bore them out of the building. But meanwhile, the baby faces are getting heat on the heels instead of the other way around. I don't know what the fuck. Who is supposed to be the heels here? That's a question for you.
I can't answer that. I cannot answer that.
And look now, this guy is. Claudio at least can still do the big swing. But again, not hard when you've got a child in your arms.
Yuta on the apron looks like a fan won a contest.
Well, yes, because he was out for quite a while. He had the opportunity to drink some milkshakes or something, gain some weight. And so, nevertheless, we're still watching this. I hope that everybody is enjoying the picture-in-picture, because this is what was the point of this. What the fuck? The people are sitting there like they're in a library, and it just staring at what's going on. Okay, now I believe, yes, they did. They just came back from commercial in America, so naturally Moxley throws the guy to the floor. And he throws him kind of half-ass over the railing and then walks off. What the fuck was that for? And then the mini is going to stop Moxley here and make a hot tag to one of the other heels here in a second. Oh, first he's got to stop Claudio and fall on his fucking ass. Trying to do the double stomp off of fucking Claudio's back. Now the baby faces stop the heels from making a hot tag. I can't believe I'm saying these words.
I don't think they're the heels. You can't call them the heels.
Well, and did you see that when he did the back bend to duck Moxley's clothesline and suddenly was frozen there and Moxley stared at him dumbfounded? Okay, the hot tag by the heels. And the other guy comes in. Is this Takagi again?
This is Takagi.
Okay, and he makes a big comeback. And again, fake forearms. What the fuck? Why are they doing that over and over? Is it now Takagi's he's gonna beat up Claudio, and there's Moxley, and boom. And now watch this Three Stooges spot. I can't even describe it, but Moxley and Claudio run into each other, and then he clotheslines both of them. They don't sell it, so he drops both of them on their head. This unknown fat fucking Japanese guy is beating up two of their top stars, and now there's Useless in, and the same thing. Old Shingo there's kicking the shit out of everybody. We'll see him Sunday, and then hopefully and probably never again, but he looks better than all the homegrown talent. And now watch this.
And we heard from people in the building that said the crowd was dead for LIJ.
Well, looky here. 12 fake forearms that neither one of them sells traded back and forth. Then here comes a couple clotheslines that they don't sell either. And then the first time that Shingo sells something is going to be a goddamn nose bite. Look, clothesline, pop up, clothesline the other guy. Pop up, clothesline the other guy. Finally, Moxley, I'll bite his nose. What the fuck is going on? And then he don't sell that. And what the fuck is this do-si-do back and forth?
I'm laughing because you can't call this. You can't
call it. And then I think simultaneous cold tags are coming up. Yes, we'll have simultaneous cold tags to Useless and the other Japanese fellow who are going to come in and exchange 14 more forearms that nobody sells, and then some more shit that doesn't work on either guy, just back and forth. Look at what the fuck? Look, he hit him in the face 6 times, and now they're just running back and forth at 100 miles an hour. It looks like the worst wrestling school tryout fucking match that's ever been held, where you start teaching them what not to fucking do. Oh, my God. So we're about to put old Wheeler away here, because, of course, he is the weak link on the team. And I believe that we're almost done with this, by the way, it looks like. Yeah, here we go. The Japanese guy's about to put Wheeler away, and Moxley, babyface, brings in a chair and fucking cracks the guy, disqualification. Now they have a sloppy, look at these punches in this fight. Did you see the masked guy almost tackled Aubrey out of the ring trying to grab Claudio and then jumped up on Claudio's back? Claudio doesn't notice. And now they're all swinging at each other and nobody's connected with anything. One guy's front face locked Useless, it looks like, just to slow him down. Was that? Oh, I thought it was Aubrey. It's a Japanese referee that bailed out. I'm saying it looked like Aubrey.
Well, now we have a big surprise, obviously.
Oh, well, now, yes. Now, while they're still fighting, here comes a video with music of this guy is Naito, right?
He is Naito.
Okay, well, why was he trying to pry his right eye open when he comes out?
He has bad contact lenses.
And by the way, there's still people fighting at ringside. This guy is slow to come out. But yes, look, he's trying to pry. I mean, the viewers are trying to pry their eyes open with toothpicks. But why is he trying to pry? Is he got a monocle we can't see? So now Naito's starting to take his clothes off. And Moxley's going to run to him. And Brian, I just want you to watch. As soon as they tackle each other, they're going to start trading fake forearms. What is the fascination with this? That it looks so bad, so embarrassing. And by the way, how old is this guy? 56? Do you have any idea what is his age? Or has he just been in bad car wrecks?
42.
Look at, they're hitting each other's biceps. And they're going to fight off. And you don't see them anymore. Because the other guy in the ring is going to beat up Wheeler. So goodbye to them. We'll see y'all later. And the fight is now contested. But we never find out what happened to Claudio or the little Mexican fellow. Where did they go? They've disappeared because these are the only two left. So that's why Danielson has to leave color to come down here and go face to face with Shingo here.
This is the worst. This is what I hate too. The elbow almost near the neck that's supposed to be to the jaw. I don't know what it's supposed to do.
It's supposed to tear your rotator cuff of your shoulder, I guess. I don't know, when you're delivering it, not when you're getting hit with it. So where did Claudio go?
I don't know, but now Danielson's in the ring.
And you know what they're going to do? Nothing. They're going to talk mean to each other and gesticulate and make faces.
It's an amazing career move. Danielson left WWE and said, how do I become the least commercial version of myself? And that's what we got now. Danielson versus Shingo Takagi as part of the Owen Hart tournament at Forbidden Door.
When I talk about a lot of this amateur, fake-looking bullshit and nonsensical match psychology and construction, an example of almost everything that we ever talk about was right there in that one fucking match.
You know,
your closing thoughts.
My closing thoughts, it's beyond the match. Because when matches like that happen, and they happen frequently in AEW, whether it's a Moxley match, whether it's a random 6-man match, whether it's a multi-man match with people who have never appeared on the show before, all of it in front of a dead crowd, it does nothing to help the show. You have these long competitive squash matches that don't cause anyone to be interested in any. No one came out of this and goes, man, I really can't wait for Moxley versus Naito. Nobody came out of this.
I can't remember which one Naito is.
He's the one who fought off with Moxley. That's the point. They're the ones wrestling at the pay-per-view. This big grudge match. The man who makes you want to close your eyes versus the man who tries to open his eye. From the hairdo era of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, what is with everybody's hair? And at least conditioner would be their friend also, at least.
You go look at New Japan. Look, I know you can't go back and make things what they were, but go look at New Japan in the 80s or the 90s. And then look at the Americanized or almost wannabe Americanized version of it now. And it's just,
the
looks of the wrestlers and just what it's trying to be. But anyway, this match was extraordinarily bad, but it's not unique. But it kills the show because we keep getting more and more things like this and they don't recognize it's a problem. Wheeler Yuta should not be getting any focus on this show. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. Put him in Ring of Honor. You really believe in him that much. So, yeah, those are my closing thoughts. Awful match. But entertaining because of it.
Well, anyway, hopefully that was a learning moment, teaching lesson, teaching moment. What does the kids say? Hopefully you learned something if you watched that and listened to us at the same time, what not to do. Kids and fellow aspiring wrestlers out there. Anyway, had another Owen Hart tournament match with Light Switch White against Felix. White won 1, 2, 3. And the heels were in the ring because you had Gin and Juice and you had the Guns. They're all celebrating. And music plays. And I swear to God, Christian Cage and Dino Douche and Nick Plain and Nick Plain's mom walk menacingly down the ramp. And they are staring at each other. And the gangbang gang dares them to get in the ring. But they don't. And they walked off and nothing happened. And now in the first segment, you had 4 baby faces mad at each other. Now you've got 8 heels mad at each other. What? Help.
Again, who, even amongst the biggest fans of the people involved in this, said, I'd like to see these guys all involved in a feud together? No one. I mean, it's just the show gets worse and worse, and just everyone's feuding with the wrong person or the wrong faction. It's extraordinarily bad. The Dynamite's on a run of some of the worst shows ever produced for professional wrestling ever. Not just since the beginning, but like for the last few months. It's just an extraordinarily bad run. And you hear people say, oh, Dynamite was great. I'm surprised the rating was bad. They had great matches. No one gives a fuck. It's a bad show.
And I'm not even seeing the great matches. I'm sorry. I'm a professional. And I, am offended by this amateur hour production. So I'm not seeing great matches. I'm seeing overindulgent indie bullshit. But
yeah, and at the end, like, they have all these belts. They're like draping each other in all the belts. And I'm like, they're like, oh, they have all the gold. I'm like, yeah, this is why your belts mean fucking nothing. They literally have excess belts they don't know what to do with.
Nobody has all the gold. Nobody's strong enough to pick all those fucking belts up.
Well, Santo Gold has all the gold, but let's continue on with this Dynamite.
All righty, well, we're getting to the Hardley Boys segment because they did a promo in the back. And next week, they're going to insert a wild card in the Owen Hart tournament that's going to win the whole thing. And then they ended it with some unfunny comedy. I was hoping that would be all that we would see of them on this program, but it was not to be, because I don't know why they're doing this, but they sent the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn to the ring and then went to break, but they didn't rap. Caster didn't rap. They come back from the break. It's the top of the 9 o'clock hour. They want, apparently, they thought that the Acclaim's appeal that they may still have left with the fans would counteract the Buckaroos' go-away heat to where they might stay even or gain a bit at the top of the hour. But the Acclaimed has dovetailed in popularity. They lightly chanted "Scissor Me, Daddy" when they first started the promo. But Max Caster doing a promo with no music, it didn't. And that's where we mentioned earlier in the show, they tried to bleep young cucks, and they bleeped it twice, but they let pricks go by. So I don't know what's going on. But the whole thing is the Acclaimed beat the Buckaroos last week to earn a title shot. Now they got to beat them one more time, and they're going to win the belts. And then Bowens did a promo that was better than Caster's. It said, all we need to do is beat you in a nozzles one more time. And they start to scissor, but then, of course, here come the Lollipop Guild and O'Cody, and they interrupt it so that the people don't get to see the scissoring. And they have O'Cody say, as scissor me, bitch. There went several $1 million so that you can have an unimpressive, goofy-looking fucking guy in an ill-fitting suit come out and say bitch in a foreign accent. Was that a good investment, you think, Brian?
No. Turns out I don't think it was at all. Even if Okada was booked well, I don't know if it would be a good investment right now, just because of a variety of factors.
Because he can't do anything, such as he's the shits. That's the first thing. And by the way, I watched that match with Ultimo Guerrero.
Oh, and the one where apparently he showed up not knowing he needed a mask.
Yes.
And then they had to sew him one together quickly.
A masked wrestler from Mexico showed up not knowing he needed a mask to wrestle in. And they made him one, and it didn't fit. And that's what what was Okody's excuse? The guy with the ill-fitting mask looked better than Okody. He can't move. His body sucks. His haircut is stupid. His promos are silly. His work is the shits. He has no emotion. And he looks broken down physically on top of the pale, flabby physique. Good Lord, what is everybody else looking at? So anyway.
His resume. That's the problem. Everyone's treating him like he's the wrestler he was 8 years ago. And he's not. The match was a disaster, and apparently it was taped, so they edited it a great deal to get it on air.
If what they showed was what they could consider airing, what did they cut out?
Yeah, not good. He has not looked impressive at all. And we've seen a string of guys right now the last few years come out of Japan broken down and beaten down from the style and the schedule. From Ibushi, who immediately had both legs snap or
amputated. He's going to come back looking like Cotton Hill.
Man, there were people talking about him when he was coming in like, this will shut you guys up. Wait until you see the real Ibushi. He came in, looked like he didn't give a shit, looked like he hadn't worked out in years, and just worked what we're seeing, this like soft, safe, and again, it's supposed to all be safe, but it's supposed to look good.
But it's not supposed to look phony.
Yeah, just everything is looking soft, and Okada, to go back to him, has not looked very good in AEW so far.
Ibushi came in to sign a contract to take care of him while he went and had everything he had operated on. What he obviously did. So then, the Buckaroos, they're being booed out of the building by the fans, but not in the good money-drawing way, but in like, oh, please shut the fuck up. Ooh, we don't want... And they challenge the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn for Forbidden Door. But Billy Gunn got on a microphone and actually saved it with a little bit of energy, but then say, I know some important people. I'd like to kick your ass right now, and he would be able to if he wanted to. But I'm a step aside because we've got another partner that's going to be the Acclaim's partner. I know a president. And most normal people be saying, what, he's going to fucking get Joe Biden? But no, the video pops up on the screen of Tanahashi. And for all of the, 46,000 people in a country of 350 million that watch New Japan Pro Wrestling on Access somewhere, they know Tanahashi's the president of New Japan. But his promo plays with subtitles. He's going to be the third guy against the Elite. And that was it. What the promos with subtitles now we're getting multiple times. Nobody reads anymore. Do you think they want to read to be sold a fucking pay-per-view match?
I think at a certain point, more than almost anything else in AEW, this is where Tony needs to let go of his fandom. The build-up to Forbidden Door every year is becoming a disaster. And it's just constantly, another surprise. Who is it? Oh, it's another New Japan wrestler you saw last year do the exact same fucking thing right before this pay-per-view. Now it's Stardom. Now it's CMLL. And you're just loading this show where no one's over with lots of people who aren't over because they've never been seen. Like, they've never been at a shot. And now we get this. Another match added to Forbidden Door. Because that's what we wanted when we ran down the 9-match card or whatever it was. Another match.
Is the jury in or out on whether we're watching that fucking thing or not?
I want to see a few matches, so I have to, I'm going to watch it.
What about a truncated version of where just the two or three things, if they have that many, that involving somebody that we know and have heard of that people may be interested in discussing?
See, I'm okay with that unless it's one of those things where it's like a match like the BCC versus LIJ. Like
Where you've just got to express consternation that it was allowed to be shown.
Like, I don't think you'd want to watch Moxley versus Naito. However, if we hear that it's like extra Moxley-ish, that may be worth a review. MJF versus Hechicero, I'm watching that. Swerve versus Ospreay, that's the no-brainer, right?
Yeah, morbid curiosity for MJF and Hechichichia.
In home. I mean, that's MJF's home, too. That's Long Island. So it's a hometown show with MJF versus Hechicero. And there are other matches. I mean, I kind of want to see the Mercedes Moné match to see if it's any good. And I kind of want to see the Mina Shirakawa match just because she's got her boobs out on display for everyone, and she doesn't seem to mind anyone talking about it.
Well, before we get there to the booby match, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Pockets were in the back doing the interview with Renee Moxley Good. And Mark Briscoe is a great promo and did one and was completely wasted here and in this company. Massive talent and what he could have been. And then Kyle O'Reilly busted out a great promo imitating Mark Briscoe. They could have done something with him because at least he's different. If they hadn't brought him back looking like a homeless bum, it just fell off a fucking freight train and then beat him. And then the jerk jack off just stood there. So whatever. Then we got to the booby match. Explain to me Tony Storm, Maria May, and Mitsu Arakawa versus Anna Jay, Saraya, and Harley Cameron.
Mina Shirakawa, Harley Cameron, the illegitimate daughter of Dave Cameron.
You said that wasn't true. Now you're admitting it? Well, nevertheless, didn't they just do the same thing that the guys and girls are teaming with people that they're wrestling on the pay-per-view this Sunday in the same television show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
You got a problem?
Well, the first 30 seconds of this match looked like strippers at the Mouse's Ear trying to play wrestler.
Did you see the part where Mina and Mariah, I don't even know what to say, stuck their chests out and just shook?
Yes. And they were shaking, snapping their fingers.
See, that's the thing that gets me for the people that try to justify all this shit, especially the AEW women's division.
It's not just tits and ass. They're real athletes. Shaking their tits and ass.
You have them out there, other than them, it's like a wedgie contest amongst the women every single week, because if you don't have a wedgie, you're not going to get over. Because it's, this is the era of ass, ever since J-Lo in 99, I guess.
Oh, trust me. As an older man, I can tell you ass has always been around.
No, I feel like everything was kind of centered around the breast until the late 90s, until like J-Lo, and then like the fucking Kardashians exploded. It was all about ass. It wasn't about tits anymore. It was just all ass. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But back to what I was saying.
What were you saying?
Here these two women are shaking their stuff on TV. I ask this every time, who is this for? Last week with that record low number, it's interesting because the audience that tuned it out were the older men. Like, not the key demo. It was the people outside of the key demo that are like, enough of this, and they turned it off. And that was a big enough portion of the audience that affected everything. Do you think men over the age of 49 watch this and not just think, I'd like to fuck her? They're watching this for any other reason when this is how it's being presented to them? Do you think men 18 to 49, that's a big fucking age range. What do you think they're thinking when they watch this? Well, I'm very happy about women's equality. I'm glad these women have a chance to go out there and wear as little as possible.
No, because here's the thing.
Who's the audience? Like, there's no female audience, so none of this is being marketed or pushed to females, which would be the only justification. Well, you don't understand. This is female entertainment. This is what females are like. Who is this for? Who is this supposed to connect to?
If
what
they're
audience
18
and
to
what demo?
49, if they're 18 to 49-year-old men, they know very well that they can get a variety of the most disgusting porn available in the world for free on the internet. They don't need to watch these girls covering their shit up and shaking it while it's covered. And if there are men 49 and over, they don't want to fuck these 20-year-old fucking airheaded bimbos. They want somebody with some experience that'll goddamn dig in and show them some shit.
But again, sometimes people don't go the extra mile. People are lazy. I remember a few years before he died, there were photos of like some tabloid of Glenn Fry buying porno magazines. Magazines! It was like, wow, he's still going to that.
Well, maybe he had a long car trip or something.
I don't know. But that's my big point. All kidding aside, and all honesty aside, who is this division for? Who, if you're behind this division, if you're in this division, if you stop and you say, our key audience for the women's division segments is blank. Who is it? Because I don't think it exists. So then it's just, you gotta call it what it is. It's a little TNA show, no pun intended to the Bad Wrestling promotion. It's a little TNA show in the middle of the wrestling card. And that's why I like Mina Shirakawa. She doesn't pretend. She comes out and says exactly what it is, and she shows you exactly what it is. Most honest female wrestler in the business. But other than that, that's the thing. Like MJF trying to elevate Garcia with Ospreay in there. There's something, I'm not saying it's right or how I would have done it, but there's something there you could almost kind of understand and relate to if you're a guy and you're watching this, or anyone watching this. This stuff with the women's division, who is this supposed to connect to, and who's supposed to get behind it?
Well, can you just even explain to me what this finish was, or the afterbirth? Because Toni Storm's team won, and then Maria May got the champagne for Toni and Mitsu Arakawa so that they could toast each other and drink the champagne. And then Maria hugs Mitsu, but then Toni Storm gets Maria and starts dancing with her. So Mitsu gets the bottle of champagne. Whichever. Miss Arakawa. Goes to gets the bottle of champagne and goes behind to hit Toni Storm. But she ducks and Miss Arakawa breaks the bottle of champagne over Maria's head.
Mariah.
And then both of Toni and Miss Arakawa check on Maria while they're side by side, and then they stand up and yell at each other. And then the referee says, "Oh, don't fight." And there's Maria May laid out. Why was she going to hit her from? She went from handing or drinking a toast to trying to hit the girl over the head with the bottle just suddenly. And if you broke a bottle over one of the top guys' heads in an angle in a major match, you might actually draw some money, but this is just bullshit. But to fuck. Oh my God.
Like, that's the thing, like Bianca Belair, Jade, I'll use them as an example. You watch them in their stuff, even when Jade's not wrestling all that great. They're believable, and they're not like, you can get into it. It's like, they're wrestlers wrestling, not a bunch of people performing bad skits. WWE does it too, but these AEW women's, the whole division is just a complete disaster.
The people involved in this, most of them need to be wrestling in Jell-O in a kid's blow-up pool. And then speaking of kids, and, well, there's no blow-up pool involved in this, but Mercedes Moon and Stephanie Vacker are going to have the match, and they had a package on that, and then Mercedes was in the back. And all I've got to say, I don't know what she said. I'm not going to try to recap it. It just went by. It was a scripted heel promo delivered in, again, a fake and stilted way. And
she's a babyface, by the way, I think.
No, this was a heel promo through and through. No, nobody could mistake this. You'd have to be a complete fucking idiot to let a babyface say a promo like this in this fashion. Are you calling somebody a complete idiot?
At this point, who knows who's a babyface and who's a heel all over that show.
Anyway, I know who a heel is. Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith for making us watch this. How did they hurt Brian Keith already? His arm is in a sling.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but it somehow happened recently, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't last long. So Big Bill, now his promos are as bad and as phony as Jericho's. Remember when we thought, wow, he's really coming on a few months ago before this whole thing started? And Jericho said, well, don't worry about the 6-man tag against who the fuck are they wrestling at the pay-per-view?
That's
Lord.
Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata.
Oh, Joe, Hook, and Shapoopy. That's right, because they're about to come out. Silva said, don't worry about 6-man tag because we got another partner. I'm going to play a video of who we got that we haven't even watched it yet. We're going to watch it for the first time with all of y'all. Jesus Christ. They would have had to watch it in the production truck to time the fucking thing. This is so fake. And of course, they set that up. And he introduced, so here he is, fellow Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Famer Minoru Suzuki. And here's another promo on the screen in subtitles. But now they've set that up. Obviously, Minoru Suzuki says, I don't know what the learning tree and all that bullshit is. I don't want to be any part of that. I don't want to team with Jericho. I want to wrestle him one-on-one. Oh, joy. So, what's Suzuki now, 60? We've established he's a fucking Fabergé egg. They don't want to hurt him because they're afraid he'll stretch him. But he looks like shit and wrestles worse. Against Jericho, what will the combined age be? Over 110?
56 is Suzuki.
He's 56. How old is Jericho? We're going to be close here.
We're going to be under, I think.
Huh?
Hold on. That's a map of Jericho, Long Island. Chris Jericho.
A map of Jericho, Long
53.
Island. 50. Okay. God damn it. 109. When's their birthdays? Between now and Sunday?
Yeah, I just closed the windows. I didn't check.
But never mind. There's a chance.
There's a chance.
And then after that plays and Jericho's all upset, then here comes Samoa Joe and Hook and Shapoopy out. And Joe is trying. He really is trying on the promo. He always gives it his all, but this is, and I think he knows. He cut the promo on Jericho and company, but then he pitched to Shapoopy in Shapoopy's phone to tell Jericho that they suck. And then Jericho slapped Joe, and Joe headbutted Jericho, and they had a 5-second fight, and the heels bailed out. So then who is the match? Is it Joe and Hook and Shapoopy against what is going on here? Is it a 6-man? Is it a single match? Who's Shapoopy gonna fucking wrestle?
According to the AEW website, let me refresh this. That match and others are not listed on the website. Hold on, let me go to Wikipedia.
Oh, good Lord.
Wow, there's now 13 matches. Jesus.
Oh, gee, come on.
We just did a preview the other day. There were 9 matches. Oh, no. A pre-show match. Statlander and Momo Watanabe.
What? Wasn't he the prime minister of Uganda after Idi Amin?
Chris Statlander and Momo Watanabe.
I'm telling you, he was a cannibal.
With Stokely Hathaway versus Willow Nightingale and Tam Nakano. Mariah May with her crew versus Saraya. And then the Lucha Brothers and Mystico versus L.I.J., who we just saw in Dynamite in a big match. And finally,
have we seen Mystico at all? Was his name mentioned?
No, he's one of the biggest stars in Lucha Libre history. So of course they didn't bill him for being a part of any of this. It still has here on Wikipedia the Learning Tree and Jeff Cobb versus Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata. Wasn't it Jeff Cobb versus someone else the last time we looked at this?
I don't know, but nobody mentioned Jeff Cobb's name on this fucking program.
No.
Including the people that are teaming with him.
And Suzuki made it sound like he's going into a singles match with Jericho.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move along here. If they don't know who the matches are, then we shouldn't be, penalized for not knowing. They had Kyle O'Reilly versus Saber the Q-Tip. And it was a technical mat wrestling match of the it was so dry you had to watch it in the rain. It was very mat based and technical. It was executed mostly very well from what I saw as I was zipping through. But that's again, that's the problem, is that it looks like two kids at junior high recess trying to imitate Billy Robinson and Tony Charles at some points.
Was this the match where they had Orange Cassidy on commentary?
Well, I was about to say, and then they had Pockets on color mumbling and acting like that they're all still in some barn in Cucamonga putting this thing on VHS. It's not professional. They shouldn't have this type of bogus horseshit on a national cable television program. He said something like, "Yeah, those guys they're doing a lot of moves I can't do." Jesus fucking Christ. So then they wrestled for a while, and then Q-Tip got an arm bar and O'Reilly tapped out. That was pretty much that. But then Roderick Strong and Taven and Bennett were in the front row, and Roddy was arguing with some guy next to him they said was named Gabe Kidd. Have we ever seen this fucking guy before?
I don't think we've ever seen him on this show. If we have, I'm not sure, but he's one of the biggest stars right now in New Japan.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah,
he looked like that Zicky Dice guy that was on NWA for a while. So Roddy was arguing with that guy. Does Wardlow still work here?
That's a good question. I don't know.
He was in this group.
He was.
Did he excommunicate them? Or
so was Adam Cole, who we're told was healthy enough to come to these shows again, and then all of a sudden he's gone again.
Well, did you ever get the feeling that you wanted to stay? Did you ever get the feeling that you had to go? Wanted to stay, had to go. Ha-cha-cha. The schnoz. Jimmy Durante was an underrated talent. So, Pockets goes to check on O'Reilly, but Roddy and company push him back away from Kyle so they can check on O'Reilly. But then Q-Tip and Pockets go face to face with each other in a confrontational way, when suddenly what I thought were two fans in baseball caps, but apparently are friends of Q-Tips, roll in the ring, and they face off with Pockets 3 against 1 of the. But then music plays, and I swear to God, here comes Ishii. This guy looks like he could qualify for disability payments from the state. He stands next to Pockets. Well, what are you laughing at?
I never heard that before.
He could file. I'm telling you, show a picture of him, watch him walk. That's a pretty slam dunk case, but he stands next to Pockets, and there's still 2 against 3, but then Gabe Kidd jumps up on the apron yelling at everybody, and the fans are kind of staring at this, and then nothing happens and everybody leaves. So what? Is there a match coming out of this?
Pockets versus Zack Sabre Jr. at the pay-per-view. What are you doing?
Tearing some of that shit up.
It's a lot of paper, it sounds like.
Well, it was only 1 page. I wanted to make sure that nobody could read it. So then, the main event started at 4 minutes until 10. The end of the show comes at 10 o'clock normally, schedule-wise. They always run over, obviously. But they can't even now time it to where they could legitimately start a match that they're just next week they're going to start the main event in the overrun is what I'm trying to say. They started the main event, which wasn't worthy of being a main event, but at 4 minutes until 10. So they went 2 minutes and then went to a break. And they were still in the break at the goddamn top of the hour. And my DVR froze before they came back. But so if somebody was switching around at the top of the hour, they saw a commercial for fucking Ovaltine? What? The heels jump-started. The baby faces took over. They teased dissension. The heels took back over. They went to the break. My DVR froze. I didn't even care enough to find out what happened. Did someone turn on someone and sodomize them with a red-hot crowbar?
I don't know about that. That seems like a step too far. But at the very end, Swerve kicked.
You shouldn't heat them up. I've seen pictures where they don't heat them up. They just use the crowbar, and it's much easier.
I don't know what's going on over there, but Swerve kicked Ospreay in the head at the very end of the match, at the very end of the segment.
Well, there you go. Ain't that a kick in the head?
So Swerve technically, I guess, is a heel now.
Ain't that a hole in the boat? But here's the thing. Does that make him a heel now, or does that make him a bigger babyface because the people started liking him when he was terrorizing infant babies and breaking into people's homes doing home invasions? So since now they don't like him anymore because all he does is get his ass kicked, maybe if he kicked this other motherfucker in the head, they'll like him again. And you can kick Ostrich in the head all you want. You can't tell when he talks whether there's any damage or not.
Well, that was AEW Dynamite once again.
It certainly was.
I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This show is review heavy today because we had to review these, but...
Well, we had to have some fun. And this is actually the only two things that I've been able to keep up with over the last 3 days was one Raw and one AEW, and the rest of my time has been compromised with other television productions and things of that nature. But we're going to talk about who killed WCW on the Experience this week, if that helps anybody.
That's right. And you talk about people like you having issues with time. You get busy. A lot of people get busy. A lot of small businesses get busy. And they need help online to sell their product, and we know who to tell them to talk to.
We know Hooter, tell them to tutor too.
We know English will come back for the Experience.
We know English despite evidence to the contrary in this program. We know English, and folks, you don't have to know English. You can live anywhere in the world because Shopify is a global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, not just if you're busy. If you're just sitting around bored with Pete in hand, they will still help you and they will make you busier because they can start you out all the way from the launch your online shop stage to the we just hit 1 million orders stage and everywhere in between. No matter what you're selling, they've got the platform and the ability and the expertise to build you and maintain for you a wonderful storefront presence on the interwebs that it'll be easy as pie to use. Or it's actually, should it be easy as cake? It's always easy as pie and a piece of cake. Why isn't cake easy? Pie comes in pieces. Do you know what I'm saying, Brian?
Well, what do you think is more complicated to bake or make?
Bake or make.
What is more complicated to bake or make?
I'll tell you what, if your dough ain't all baked, folks, you need Shopify's help because they power 10% of all the e-commerce in the United States and a number of the bakeries. And Shopify is a global force behind Allbirds and Brooklinen and Rothy's and millions of other entrepreneurs. Is that Rothschild? Is that the Baron Rothschild?
Who are you talking about? Where are you getting these names?
The owner of Rothy's. Well, it's right here in the copy.
Why would
these are?
If you were a Rothschild, why would you?
These are brand names that everybody knows: Allbirds and Rothy's and Brooklinen. Well, Shopify has millions of entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. They can help you out. They can do whatever. So what you need to do right now, and I'll tell you this, if you're a business person looking to be able to sell shit and make money, you're looking to save money at the same time, keep the expenses down, you can sign up for a $1 a month trial period right now at shopify.com/JCE, all lowercase, by the way. And where else in the world are you going to get somebody to do all this work for you and give you the benefit of their expertise and their genius for only $1 a month? I mean, you can't even get a hobo to blow you on Broadway behind a dumpster for $1 a month these days. I mean, inflation has hit every sector, but you can definitely get a $1 a month trial period at shopify.com/JCE right now. And that's what you need to do. And you will grow your business no matter what stage you are in. And no matter whether they can even help you sell stuff that isn't worth a flip to anybody. They can sell ice to Eskimos. They can sell fish to flounders. They can sell things that people wouldn't need to unsuspecting and unlikely people that wouldn't need those things. So certainly they can sell whatever kind of bogus shit you've got.
They can help you sell your stuff, your legitimate stuff, the stuff that you take a lot of pride in.
Possibly some stuff may be illegitimate. If you're not married and you put your stuff on that person, that's illegitimate stuff.
I don't think that's stuff that you could sell on Shopify, but you could sell most other things, most legitimate things that you legitimately have the rights to sell. Make sure you have the rights, ladies and gentlemen.
And then legitimize them.
That's right. And with that...
Dixie Carter's father made $1 million one year from bull semen. Anyway, shopify.com/JCE right now, immediately to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/JCE. Ooh, boy.
Well, Jim, on the topic of running your own shop and starting up your own shop, that's what Tony Khan did a few years ago. Just a little guy with a few $1 billion that he has access to because his dad said sure. And he started up the little engine that is AEW. Last week's ratings caused a panic amongst AEW friends and family and defenders. This week, you have to figure, has to recover. But before we get there...
Yes. There's going to be some... It can't get much worse, but go ahead.
Well, let's just briefly, because we've been mentioning it the last few weeks in comparison. NXT on June 25th this past week, 8 to 10:05 p.m., was watched by 611,000 viewers on average. So that's down from 724 last week.
So what do they attribute the drop to? Or do they attribute the drop to anything?
Well, according to WrestleNomics, NXT was number 4 in prime time on cable in the key demo, behind Fox Sports 1's coverage of the Copa America and History Channel and History Channel's The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. Skywalker Ranch was George Lucas's home. Is there a Skinwalker Ranch?
Yes, it's right across the street from the Bunny Ranch. And they've got a special. If you're an NBA player with drugs, you get in 2 for 1.
All right, well, that's NXT. Let's go.
NXT did 611. Okay, well, they beat last week's AEW mark, but let's see what AEW did this week.
AEW this past week, Wednesday, June 26, 2024, 8 to 10:08 p.m. on TBS. On average, Jim, 680,000 viewers.
Oof. Okay, well, they bounced. I don't know if it was a bounce or just kind of a sideways wobble. Maybe they need a little more air in their ball, but they bounced back somewhat from 502,000, but with their regular lead-in and no sports tournaments or playoffs or whatever, they still only did 680,000.
Well, let's see what the quarters tell us. The story will come out. This is compiled by WrestleNomics. AEW Dynamite on TBS, June 26, 2024. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. The MJF Daniel Garcia Will Ospreay live promo, 846,000 viewers.
Ouch. Okay, they're back to a normal handoff from the big bangers. And with their average, I can only assume that there is going to be a massive break in an elevator cable. And this thing is going to plummet to a fucking fiery finish.
We go to quarter two, 8:15, 8:30 p.m. Swerve Strickland's backstage promo. Hiromu Takahashi, Shingo Takagi, and Titan.
I swear to fucking God.
Versus Claudio Castagnoli, Jon Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta. With picture-in-picture. 706,000 viewers.
Oh! It snapped early. 140,000 people right off the bat said, oh, this would not be for me.
And we've always said quarter two is the true number. The true starting number for this show is probably quarter two. And there it is. Quarter three, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. The continuation of that big six-man match. The post-match with Tetsuya Naito and Bryan Danielson. An ad break. And the start of Rey Fenix versus Jay White, 631,000 viewers.
Oh, good Lord. So that six-man tag did wonders for him. In 45 minutes, they have lost 215,000 people. They almost have to come up somewhere at this point to make their average, don't they?
Well, we go to quarter four, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The continuation of Rey Fenix versus Jay White with picture-in-picture. The post-match with the Bang Bang Gang and the Patriarchy, the Young Bucks backstage promo, and an ad break, 613,000 viewers.
Well, apparently they don't have to go back up too soon. There went another rubber tree plant. They've got high hopes. So they are down 233,000 from the start in the first hour.
Well, we go now to the big 9 o'clock hour, quarter five, 9 to 9:15 p.m. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn and the Elite's live confrontation. Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Orange Cassidy's backstage promo. Anna Jay, Harley Cameron, and Saraya versus Mariah May. Did I say that already? I don't know. Everyone's name sounds the same. Mina
Saraya.
Mina Shirakawa. And Tony Storm with picture-in-picture. 707,000 viewers.
Holy shit, so...
The pervs come alive at 9 p.m.
The pervs come out. At 9 o'clock, the Lollipop Guild for once didn't run people off because they put vagina immediately following them, something that the Buckaroos have never had anything to do with. So you got variety. It's a variety show now.
Well, Jim,
they haven't seen one since they came out of it.
The variety continues in quarter six, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. The continuation of the six-woman match, the post-match, the Stephanie Vacour video, the Mercedes Moné promo, the Learning Tree, Minoru Suzuki, Samoa Joe live promo and angle with Hook and Shibata. 717,000 viewers.
Good Lord, they actually got 10,000 more for that. Well, bless their little pea-picking hearts.
But do you remember what happened the last couple times when they had Jericho at the end of a segment for a little while?
Yeah, I do.
Now imagine that natural reaction from viewers combined with quarter seven, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. An ad break. Kyle O'Reilly versus Zack Sabre Jr. with picture-in-picture. 637,000 viewers.
Okay, so there went another 80,000 people. So there's still now 209,000 from where they started from. They're up from their low of 613,000 people. Go ahead.
Well, we go to quarter eight, Jim. I remind you, there was a 7-minute overrun. Quarter eight, 9:45 to 10 p.m. Kyle O'Reilly versus Zack Sabre Jr. continued. The post-match with TMDK, Undisputed Kingdom, Gabe Kidd, and Tomohiro Ishii. An ad break. And the start of Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay versus the Gates of Agony. With picture-in-picture. 615,000 viewers. 7-minute overrun. The continuation of the match and the post-match. 617,000 viewers.
Gee, that's just
by the
bathroom break fluctuation. Go ahead.
The average, not counting the first quarter or the overrun, is 660.
Yeah. So they artificially inflated only 20,000 people with their manipulation, and it still didn't. That's start to finish. 230,000 people. 31 or 30 or whatever the fuck. That was wait a minute, what is 200 and what percentage? Now I've asked you these things before. What percentage is 230,000 of 846,000? How do you do that?
All right, hold on, give me a second here.
What percentage of 846,000 is 230,000?
Give me the first number again. 840?
846 is where they started.
846,
230 is what they lost. What percentage did they lose?
230.
Carry the 3.
27.18%. Quarter of their audience.
Almost a third. Closer to a...
Yeah, actually, you're right.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Well, Jim, as we wrap things up, we'll see what happens with Forbidden Door. Those are the ratings. Tony Khan's making the rounds, doing a media call earlier. And I don't know. I got to make sure this is a real image. Apparently, there's an image going around. Tony Khan was on Fox Business. The quote here in the chyron: Tony Khan, All Elite Wrestling CEO, 500 million plus people attended 110 live AEW events in 2024. You know, I take everything bad I've ever said about him back. Obviously, he's much more successful than I ever realized.
But that's not even mathematically possible, is it? Can that be a gimmick chyron that somebody has manufactured? He couldn't have said that. Wouldn't they? Well, it's Fox. They don't fact check anything. But what would that be? If 500 million for 100 and whatever live events, what's the math on that per capita, per event?
I'm doing it right now. That would mean on average, you know, again, Wembley was a big show, so it kind of skews the average up. On average, AEW would have a live attendance of approximately 4.5 million people per show. That's why I questioned it. Could this be a real image? Could he have actually said that?
Did he give him one of these fucking bullshit statistics that the WWE comes up with all the time, where they've had 17 billion social media engagements and that Fox just fucked it up somehow? And how could that be? Again, how could that be?
Did they have 500 million viewers? I mean, I've never thought about the exact number. Yeah.
There can't be 500 million of anything except maybe empty seats in the buildings they've run. Now we could tally that up. It'd take a while, but what in the world?
Should he be the one promoting the pay-per-views?
I don't think so.
On business channels?
I don't think I don't think he ought to be on a business channel. What does the wrestling business look like when this crazy-haired, wide-eyed fucking guy is, oh, it's great, 500 million people. Anyway, if anybody has can forward us a clip of the Fox Business News appearance by Tony so we can verify these things. That's insane.